I was reading the words of Pat Buchanan. Of course, he's been a senior advisor to 3 American presidents, so he's been down many roads on the out of the White House. He writes that if future revelations demonstrate what could have gone down, Podesta, Fusion GPS, the Clinton campaign and all, in addition to the Manafort indictments, Pat Buchanan writes, it's not only the White House, then, that will have major problems. And if you wish to know why Americans detest politics and hate the swamp that has been made of their capital city, follow this story all the way to its inevitable end. It'll be months of unfolding. The real indictment here is of the American political system, and the true tragedy is the decline of the old republic. I'm grateful for his perspective. I'm glad that we're able to visit once again with our old pal, Pat Buchanan. How you been, Pat?
Doing fine, Mike. How are you?
I'm so grateful to you because this big picture view you took in the column you wrote, that other plot to bring down Trump, is so important, because lost in all the breathless reporting this week is the fact that Americans are just disgusted with it. You got last week's the news about the Clinton campaign and the DNC, now these indictments, and people are saying, wait a minute, I thought the Mueller investigation was to establish Russian collusion or investigate Russian collusion. Pat, this is really depressing for the state of the republic, isn't it?
Well, it is indeed, and it's depressing in the sense, Mike, that we can look down the road and we can see this is going to last months and months and months, the Mueller investigation. I mean, what happened to Manafort is obviously very serious stuff. It had nothing to do with the campaign or the Russians or 2016. The Papadopoulos thing, the investigation, it came down. His problem was not anything he did wrong. He apparently ran into some Russians. He got some advance info that they're going to dump a lot of documents or emails. He was running around the campaign, said, let's get a meeting together with Putin. And people said, are you nuts? We're not meeting with Putin.
Right.
But he lied about it.
Right.
And, I go back all the way to my youth, and that's what Watergate was all about. People didn't know about the break-in, but people told lies to one another.
Right.
And then they got picked up on the lies and went to jail for perjury and obstruction of justice.
Right. And meanwhile, there's like little stories that are totally ignored. Consumer confidence released today. The Consumer Confidence Index is now the highest it's been in 17 years.
There's so many good things going on. I mean, I am astonished at how well the market is doing. That means the 401ks out there and retirement funds for folks, and people are going to feel better. Maybe they're going to buy some high-value products and things. The economy's going to be going, as you said, the confidence is up. You've had 3% growth for a couple of quarters. Just all good news, and the country had a new president, and now here we are before a year is out, and we're right back in the swamp of, special prosecutors, investigators, grand juries, and the whole thing again, because the city wants to destroy the president who was elected.
Right, and that destruction attempt is coming from a whole lot of fellow Republicans, and that's the part that I find really the most distressing of all of this. Can you talk a little bit about this? And you've said this, and you've written about this, and I've heard you talk about the establishment types who are really enraged. There's not displeasure, Pat. This isn't just discomfort. This is a real rage that this guy won, and he's doing what he's doing.
Well, exactly. Donald Trump ran against the Republican establishment, wiped out 15 or 16 of the establishment figures who were supposed to be the greatest field we ever put up. He came in, he rejected their views on getting into more wars. He said, I don't like the trade deals that have deindustrialized middle America. We're going to change those. We're going to get control of this border. We're going to get control of immigration. We're going to take into consideration the concerns of the forgotten Americans. And what he represented basically was a revolution against the establishment of the Republican Party. And the country voted not only to put him in as nominee, but as president. And they have not been able to abide that defeat. They detest the man. Their whole focus of this city, the Republican elite and the media elite and the deep state and all the rest of them, is we are going to bring this guy down in disgrace.
And it's relentless. I always try to put myself in somebody else's shoes. I try to understand somebody who I disagree with politically or ideologically, where they're coming from, what they're experiencing, this rage factor, and some of the stuff I've read. I mean, man, recently, Vanity Fair, James Wolcott, he writes this month in Vanity Fair, the Trump family, he's already writing what happens when Trump leaves office, how the family must be shunned for the rest of their lives. I mean, this real personal rage, this hatred, this must be what these Republican never-Trumpers are feeling as well. I don't remember any of us being this filled with rage when Barack Obama or Bill Clinton won.
No. I tell you, you've got to go back to Nixon's 49-state victory in 72 and exulting over the city and the Democratic Party and the media, the great victory. And then Nixon had made mistakes and he slipped. And at the end of the Nixon Watergate era back in, say, the spring and the early summer of 1974, you had the same hatred and the same enthusiasm to bring him down and finish him off. I mean, you could cut, when Nixon was pardoned, you could cut the rage in this city.
Yeah, I'll bet.
With a chainsaw.
I'll bet. And by the way, I've got a great book to read about that if our listeners are interested. Nixon's White House Wars, The Battles That Made and Broke a President and Divided America Forever. Very smart guy wrote that book. You should get that book by Pat Buchanan, Nixon's White House Wars. Pat, you've been at this a long time. We've never seen anything like this in our lifetime this year. How does this end? Does Trump prevail, or are you worried about his agenda being able to succeed, considering the hatred and the rage that's being directed his way?
I could be both. I am deeply worried that, look, the city's got the scent of blood in its nostrils this morning. They sense that we can take him down and take him out. They're enjoying it. Their spirits are up. It's the tally-ho time. We're going to bring Trump down. But what's going to happen, I do think, is this is a mammoth distraction. The media is now all focused on this. They don't care about, whether Hillary, they hired Fusion GPS, and he hired a spy, and he hired Russians, and they put out this false dirt, and the FBI got it. They don't care about that. Everybody in the media that decides what people think about and talk about is going to be zeroed in on this, and I think it really puts at risk the Trump agenda, because you've got to have a united Republican Party basically it's establishment wing on the Hill and the Trump revolutionaries together, and you can get stuff done. But if they're divided or if we're distracted by this, it is hard to see how you get a great number of things done.
Well, we're going to wait and see. It's always great catching up with you. You keep fighting the good fight, and I very much appreciate you spending a few minutes with us on this Halloween 2017, Mr. Buchanan. There's some irony there. Happy Halloween. Thanks, Pat.
Take it easy, my friend.
All the best.